back to my channel. This is Tita Lavinia of Titas Of Pageantry, and for this episode, I will be discussing some of the highlights from the recently concluded interview of our very own Rabiya Mateo with the king of talk himself, Tito Boy Abunda. So please make sure you stick around, please subscribe to the channel, as well as hit that bell notification button for your weekly pageant fix. Hey guys, I hope that you're doing okay. So I am actually filming this in the middle of a typhoon. So it's currently raining outside, but wherever you are in the Philippines, I hope that you are safe. I hope that you have a good and strong evacuation plan or contingency plan, not just for yourself, but for your pets as well. Now, this is a cause that is very important to me because, as you can see, I have a lot of pets and I would be devastated if I had to leave them behind. So hopefully you're all good. Now, if you need information on where to go or how to donate, our Titas of Pageantry page is of course open because we are anticipating more of these relief or fund drives that will be more open in the next coming days. As you all know, our kababayans might need help, so we are opening our page for that. But for this, I just want to thank a few people. By the way, I know that you are noticing the Catriona painting there. I feel like this is really fitting for this space. This was done, of course, by the brilliant artist Julio Santiago Martinez. So thank you so much, Julio. She is beautiful as she is in person. I also want to thank my new patron. I have a new patron. Congratulations to me. Congratulations to you, Ian. Yeah, his name is Ian. He became my new patron. So you guys, if you are considering becoming a patron, my details are listed below. So just in case you want to support this channel as well, artistically as well as technically, my details are below as well, PayPal and GCASH. So happy birthday to one of our favorites here on the Tita Lavinia channel, Glenn Spotlet Steeler, who has been very, very supportive of this channel since day one. And I also want to extend a shout out to my Ate Ella in Serbia, who celebrated her birthday today, June 2. And of course, the reason why I am doing this interview review right now for you is because this is actually Rabiya's first virtual sit-down interview, and it's a really good way for us to pick her mind and try to figure out how and why things happened the way it did. Because as pageant fans, you have to admit, you sort of lost interest in Miss Universe. That's also probably one of the reasons why it's taking me so long to do a review for you. Because yeah, just like you, I kind of lost interest. I became more interested in finding out, you know, what happened to Rabiya's journey, what she was thinking about. And just like you, I was also on several platforms, not just as an interview guest, but also as a fan. I spent a considerable amount of time on social media learning about the analysis of other people, reading some of the comments, posts, and also trying to figure out, picking out Easter eggs. And I feel like this is now a great time for me to do a little bit of a review, do a little bit of my input on what she said in that interview, because for months, I've kept some receipts, I've kept some records, I've also left little Easter eggs along the way. And now is a good time for us to bring together these little puzzle pieces so that we have a clearer picture on what actually happened. So in this review, I will be playing some of the key questions that was asked and some of her answers, and then let's go ahead and try to discuss what other things can we learn about this interview. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this party started. Now, they started with an explosive question wherein Rabiya gave her thoughts on how she was treated in the Philippines the moment she won. So go ahead and check it out.
Sabi mo, right after the contest, right after Miss Universe Philippines, hanggang until the pageant, binugbog ka. Sino ang bumugbog sa'yo?
Yung taong bayan din. Because it's not dahil ako si Rabiya, but it's because I'm Miss Universe Philippines.
Okay.
And hindi lang dahil ako lang to, lahat ng mga candidates natin, they've been in this kind of position. So siguro, Tito Boy, from someone who is so naive in this industry. Imagine that was my first time to join a national competition. Kahit sinasabi nila na you need to be prepared for this, for that, once na nandun ka sa point na yon, magugulat ka pa rin. So,
You're never ready for those moments. Okay,
yes,
I get that.
Ang dami kasing Like, even the moment I won, I didn't have that sweet victory. The day I was crowned, that joy was taken away from me. I don't want to be emotional right now, Tito Boy, but iniisip ko lang parang ang dami ko talagang pinagdaanan.
Wow, that seems to be a really powerful statement. The joy was taken away from me and binugbog ako. Just to give you a little bit of context, this is absolutely true. The day that Rabiya won, she was marketed in several social media platforms just to test her skills because a lot of people were bored. We were in the middle of a pandemic, we were in the middle of lockdown, and all of the businesses were conducted virtually. So she made the rounds on several social media platforms to have her voice heard and to really figure out how good this girl is, if she is really worthy of a Miss Universe representation. And unfortunately, some people took advantage, and unfortunately, some people asked her provocative questions. And unfortunately, because of the heated situation in politics, her name was attached with some very political statements that she did not voluntarily give out, that these were answers to questions that was asked of her. So on another on another side, she had to battle how difficult Filipino trolls are and how difficult Indonesian trolls are. So very early on, we had someone that had no idea how this world worked, and she was just left to her own devices to figure it out. And the last statement from this question was really very powerful as well. She talked about the joy being taken out just a few moments after her crowning. So I feel like that's really scathing, but she will be elaborating this more in the next question.
Rabiya, I want to go back to that because you talked about it. That very moment when you won Miss Universe Philippines, that joy was stolen away from me.
Yes.
Why did you deliberately keep quiet?
Kasi that was the right thing to do. I have my organization with me and they can defend me to the public, And that was the best thing to deal with that issue for me.
But was there a moment in your life when you wanted to come out and say, this is my side of the story? Because I know, alam natin kung anong pinag-uusapan natin. Umpisa pa lamang ng Miss Universe Philippines, nasa gitna ka na ng kontrobersiya, nasa gitna ka na ng ingay. But sabi ko nga, Rabiya Mateo decided to just, hold her cards very, very close to her chest.
Tito Boy, I'm not even sure kasi how to express myself.
Okay.
How to react. And with all the negative thoughts, I'm not even sure na pag nagpa-interview ako and if I share my side of the story, magsa-stop na siya lahat. It might get worse. I don't wanna do that. I don't wanna add fuel to the fire. So
Okay.
try to be as quiet as I can. I try to continue the journey, even though inside I was falling apart.
I mean, second question, she didn't really give out a lot of information because, guys, we have to understand, even if Rabiya agreed to this interview, she is still under the management and she is still unable to really give out more details on what happened. At most, she could only give us a little bit of clues here and there. We heard about the same theme during her Telemundo interview. She made a little bit of a mention of the difficulty that she underwent moments after crowning, but not a lot of people have any idea on what this actually meant. So let me just try to give you a little bit of a perspective so that you would also understand why Rabiya opted not to say anything, because she had no idea how to deal with it. She didn't even know what the complaint was all about or what the hoopla was all about, apart from the fact that she's a newbie, she's from the province, and that not a lot of people believed in her. But of course, we believed in her because the performance was just so obvious anyway. But the thing was, let me just go back a little bit. So the party transferred all of their activities to Baguio because it was a contained environment. From my understanding, the Baguio Country Club was just accepting a limited number of guests. So apart from the ladies, those who were allowed to check in at Baguio, of course, had to pay for their own accommodations. And from what I understand, some of the members of the glam team of the ladies went up to Baguio and booked rooms on their own. So in a way, they were there for their girl, but from my understanding as well, because of the strict protocols, they weren't allowed to mingle with their candidates. So that was the situation. They had the preliminaries, if I'm not mistaken, on the 23rd. They filmed everything on the 9th of October 24th. So while everybody else thought that they were watching a live show on the 25th, some of us knew that the show was already going on the 24th. And of course, because some of the GLAM members and some of the other personalities checked in at the hotel, we got tips. And fortunately or unfortunately, we were also one of the first ones who knew who the winner was. In fact, I congratulated Rabiya that evening, late that evening, and she didn't really understand it or process it at that time. She thought it was just a congratulatory message for, just going through the whole process or just going through the whole pageant, without realizing that it was a congratulatory message because we knew she had won. Apparently, she had no idea she had won. Very early on, you could see how heavy that was. Rabiya did not seem as happy as she was because there were things that were going on in the background. First of all, second runner-up Michelle Gumabao was already nowhere to be found. Now, there were already reports that Michelle walked out and decided to go down to Manila. And, just a few days after that, it was followed by a threat to spill the tea by Sandra Limonon, which gave more credibility to talks saying that there was actually a commotion that happened in Baguio on the night of the finals. Now, apparently, based on what other people were saying, was that they had a little bit of an argument because no one knew that Rabiya would win. There were reports that was eventually denied that they changed the scoring system, that they removed the highest and the lowest scores, and what was left was Rabiya's safe score. That's why she ended up taking the top plum, which was seemingly problematic because there were other entities who wanted to push for certain candidates, either for a placement or for an actual crown. But that did not happen because, as we all know, the result was that it was between Bella and Rabiya in top 2. So if ever they wanted to pull other candidates to, emerge in the top 5 or the top 6, they couldn't do that because the candidates that were in question were a little far from top 2 to begin with. So they really couldn't make the adjustments to remove Rabiya just so they could place their actual bet. So I don't know what the actual, scheme was, but there were also reports that Janine was just so unhappy with how everything went with the judging that she walked out as well. So there were also reports of Shamsi crying right after the pageant. And then, this became a lot stronger when Michelle eventually released a video on YouTube explaining her side without giving a lot of information. And this was also strengthened by Sandra Limonon, who just seemed eager to say something but could not because apparently there was also a non-disclosure agreement in place. So everything hung in the balance. It's just that because we knew that 2 of these personalities spoke against it, it must mean that something really happened. So I think a lot of people forgot how difficult it was for Rabiya because, people just forget. Everybody had a lot of information to pull from, but I will be playing this video of MJ Marfori interviewing Rabiya, and this was the day that she was announced the winner. And as you can see, there will be crying involved, and for me, this will be a common theme or a common pattern in Rabiya's Miss Universe journey. Go ahead and check it out.
To be honest po, maybe because I wasn't a front runner, so people didn't expect me to win. And now that I have the crown, I'm sorry, I'm being emotional.
Gola, it's okay.
They are questioning, my capability as a person, as a candidate. But I know that I did everything and anything that I could during that night. And binigay ko talaga. And yung mga nagsasabi na the question was given to me, that's why I answered that way. It wasn't given po sa akin. I did everything that I could because I want to make Iloilo City proud. Of course, it was painful because there are things that you can settle by talking with each other. At the end of the day, this is a competition. And being the bigger person in the picture, I need to understand where they're coming from.
Why did this even happen in the first place? Now, we will never know for sure, but a few weeks before Miss Universe, I got a phone call shedding more light to what happened in Baguio. Apparently, and everything is apparently because I cannot say for sure, Rabiya was slapped with a dethronement complaint very, very early on under the premise of having a glam team that was present to fix her up. That's why I mentioned earlier about, some of the folks who also checked in the hotel. Some of them were also parts of the glam team of these girls. But guys, look at it this way. Rabiya is not one of the most popular girls, and Rabiya is also not the wealthiest candidate in the competition. So I don't think, number one, that she could afford a full glam team. Just, they could enter the venue and fix her up. So because it was a no-no, because it was part of the rules not to have a glam team, it even urged the likes of Alaiza Malinao to post something in her defense just to, clear the air out and say that, she did not have a glam team. And there was even a video evidence that there was no glam team present. There was for Shamsi. These were folks from Aces. I think there was one hairstylist, and then there was another one who did the makeup. But eventually, they helped the other girls. But if you would refer to the video that I will be showing while I'm, explaining this, you would get to see that Rabiya was just moving on her own, and Alaiza was the one who had a little bit of help because Alaiza, who had the same haircut as I did, decided to sport a bun for the evening gown. So they had a glam team that was there, but it was just a very small group, and it was a group that helped out the other ladies. So if you put two and two together, it would mean that Rabiya was slapped with a complaint, but that the complaint did not hold out, and that whatever scheme it was to try to remove Rabiya from her position did not work. So they were basically stuck with Rabiya because she emerged as the rightful winner. So if you're gonna, try to really figure things out, that could be one of the reasons why the journey turned out the way it did. Because very early on, it was pretty heavy.
Rabia, I'd like to ask a question, which is an elephant in the room. I don't want people to say Boy Abunda and Rabia talked, and we were shortchanged because everybody's talking about this. And I'll put it straight. Are you and your boyfriend Neil Salvacion still together?
Tito Boy, it's a complicated situation.
Okay.
And we need to talk about things when I go back to the Philippines.
I respect
But we're friends. I still try to contact him, but we need to have this space together as of the moment. But
Okay.
I'm not closing any doors. We've been in this kind of situation before. We've been together for 7 years, and who knows po? Who knows?
At iklaro lamang natin that Andre Brolet has nothing to do with this. Kasi
Yeah.
gusto ko lang ipaliwanag yun. Can you explain that?
Tito Boy, nahihiya ako kay Andre. It's because yung photos na kumalat, that was the third time that I was able to talk to him. The first one was before my send-off to Miss Universe. The second was during the competition. And that was the third time. Na sinundo lang nila ako sa airport.
At Titas of Pageantry, this is not something that we openly discuss because we're not really very into the personal lives of our girls. But like what Tito Boy said, it comes with the territory. Once you become a public figure, even your personal life is now open for people to really look into. And unfortunately, a lot of people really looked into her relationship with her longtime boyfriend, Neil. Now, yeah, I'm not gonna say anything more than that because this is now Rabia's story to tell. This is not for me to analyze.
How nervous were you?
I was nervous, Tito Boy, but actually ito yung gustong tanungin ng maraming tao. Because are you nervous during the swimsuit competition paglabas mo? To be honest, Tito Boy, wala talaga ako naiisip during that time. I didn't even know na I didn't smile. Wala talaga akong idea. Kasi after the whole competition, I just went to my room because I was crying. Kailangan ko pa talaga some time to accept, to recover from the
Process.
competition. And then, Mama J, Sir Jonas Gafford messaged me and he said, bakit hindi ka kasi nag-smile? And then sabi ko, hindi pala ako nag-smile. I wasn't even aware of that.
Okay.
I wasn't aware of that.
Okay.
And then she addressed the issue on being nervous. Now, this has been a common observation of the pageant fans, that she was nervous during swim. That's why she didn't perform as well as expected. Now, according to Rabiya, based on the answer that she gave out, she just wasn't aware. Now, for me, that means that this is someone who was just really preoccupied. This is someone who had so many things going on her mind that she wasn't even aware of where the camera placements are, on what she has to project on camera and on stage. Because this was even pointed out by her creative director, Jonas Gafford, who mentioned that she did not even smile. Now, for someone who is supposed to have extensive training, not just in movements as well as facial expressions, and to have that all gone in just a couple of seconds that were allotted for the girls to take the ramp in their swimsuit is just missed opportunity, really. And I think that this is something that she also accepted, because when she was giving out the answer to this question, she seemed so resigned to the fact that she couldn't do anything about it anymore, so might as well move on. So she also mentioned about Miss Nepal not getting in for the first cut, that this was something that surprised her the same way that it surprised us, but that she wasn't surprised that Mexico ended up as the winner, because she apparently gave out a winning vibe when she was there. And I totally understand this. I think that Miss Mexico, although not a lot of people agree on her win, is the safest choice, at least for this edition, wherein the Miss Universe winner would have a shorter reign. So she also mentioned something that was vital in the understanding on why she was packaged and prepared the way she was. Apparently, they learned about the format change 5 days prior to either the competition or leaving to go to the US. So they practiced a different format. They planned a different game plan, focusing more on her strength in public speaking, which unfortunately was not put to use, because when they decided to change the format and made the format, towards the advantage of someone who is more of a physical performer at Miss Universe, then yeah, that was how it started. The Miss Universe journey started to get derailed.
Ito yung opinion ko lang, Rabiya. I thought you were listening too much to the netizens, to the noise out there. You were listening too much to social media. Mali ako.
Tito Boy, kasi kahit sabihin na nila, wag kang mag-social media, I need to be active during that time. And kahit sinashutdown ko yung IG ko, there would be some familiar people who would message me, who would chat me na, bakit ganyan yung natcos mo? Things like that. So, it really got into me. And during that live, to be honest, Tito Boy, my intention is to say thank you to all the supporters. But I was like on the spot. And parang hindi ko na din napigilan yung emotion ko.
You became emotional.
Yes. Because iba kasi yung idea. To be honest, Tito Boy, during the national competition, everybody was giving compliments. Yung mga foreigners, yung organization, yung people behind, they were saying, your costume is beautiful, it's different from the past few years, we love it, it's sexy, it's modern. Pero, pagdating sa social media, pagdating sa mga Filipinos, iba naman yung naging perception nila sa costume ko. So, I just felt bad. Maybe kasi, Tito Boy, marami ding nangyaring hindi nila nakita sa camera.
That's right.
I was rushing, I was doing this, I was doing that, and feeling ko lahat ng efforts ko na invalidate because sinabi lang nila, hindi maganda yung costume mo. We're disappointed. So, yun yung na-feel ko. Parang I feel na it's unfair.
All right.
During
Unfair? Unfair but territorial. That's a price. Sabi ko, that's the price you pay, I pay, because we are all public. Pero did you know that? Did you try putting on the headgear?
I did, Tito Boy. And to be honest, I'm so thankful to Sir Manny for making that headpiece.
Okay.
Pero Tito Boy, that was my first time to fit it.
All right.
And yung problem kasi yung shoes ko, it's really high. I think nasa 7.5 inches.
Pero ang
siya.
ganda ng sapatos mo doon, ha?
Yes. Sobrang ganda.
Ganda.
And yung wings ko, mabigat din siya. Actually, yung costume ko actually, Tito Boy, mahaba siya dapat. And it's so heavy. So I made the last minute decision to cut it. I didn't even think about ano yung sasabihin ng designer or ng mga gumawa nun. I did something na I feel comfortable with, na malalakad ko talaga siya.
Now here we are with her live breakdown. Now, I know you remember this because we were also on live while this was happening. And I went on live just either with only a few other candidates that were left during the preliminary show. So the time frame between Rabia's performance and her breakdown was just super short. Meaning to say, my interpretation there is that she immediately took to her phone. Now, she did mention that, or she did explain that her initial intention was to thank the people who appreciated it, but unfortunately what she saw were conflicting reactions to her national costume as well as her performance. So in a way, she got sucked in. I mean, she did not mention this, but this is, I feel, what happened, that she got sucked in. So she also explained that she couldn't entirely stay away from her phone because she would, get instructions there, and she had like other dealings as well. But I will tell you though that this is a little bit conflicting because throughout Rabia's journey at Miss Universe, the 10-day journey at Miss Universe, most of our materials of Rabiya came from the other girls. And even her OOTDs, she only had one. Now, from my understanding, some of the members of her team even hired a photographer just so they could get her OOTDs taken, during the pre-pageant activities. However, that did not pan out. So I'm just thinking that all this time of Rabiya having that contact through her phone was of her just processing everything that, the netizens were saying on social media, which I feel also is not very healthy. Now, I don't know if Rabiya realizes this or if in some way she understands that this was one of her fatal mistakes in the way she prepped her mind going towards the Miss Universe finals, but it really, really affected how she charged the competition.
Is it possible for you to join another contest like the Miss World, for example?
Tito Boy, I've been reading a lot of comments. I remember
May mga
after
ganun eh.
I lost, nag-trending agad na Rabiya for the world. I was making jokes na hindi pa nga okay yung paltos ko sa paa. Gusto niya na naman akong sumali.
But what are your thoughts?
Let's give it like 2 years, siguro, Tito Boy. Let's see. I'm not closing any door. Like,
You're not a type who closes doors. You're not
No.
a type, who closes doors. You're very open to the possibilities of life.
who knows?
It's funny that you mentioned about the paltos thing because this was taken from a conversation that we had right after Miss Universe, and when I asked how she was, I know that there were a number of people who asked me, Tita, tried to urge her to join Miss World, and I said, shall we not talk about it because it's pretty fresh? I mean, give the girl some time. But when I had the opportunity to have a little bit of a chat with her right after the finals, I casually mentioned it to her and I said, people are asking about you and the blue crown. If you're interested, you might want to consider it. And she said, Tita, hindi pa nga gumagaling yung paltos ko sa paa. So it was just really funny that she reiterated that during the interview. But based on, what she mentioned, it seems that she's really not closing her doors. And we forget because she grew up in front of us, right? She unfolded in front of us. And we've forgotten that she's actually quite young. She's only 24. Even if she rests for 2 more years and gain more experience, she'd still be a shoo-in for a Miss World representation. So she's definitely not closing her doors. Now, Rabiya, as for her plans, she mentioned that she will be signing with a network. From what I know, she will be marketed or will be promoted as a leading lady at one of the networks. So she will definitely have more opportunities. Now, what is my takeaway on this interview? I feel like this interview is, of course, not the actual representation of what really happened. I mean, like what I said in the beginning, Rabiya cannot really give out all of these information because she's still under management. But it pretty much gives us a glimpse of what actually is, moving in the environment. So I just feel that this is a good learning reference on how to behave and how not to behave towards other people, towards a representative, towards the pageant fans. And this was just really messy on on all sides, from the organization to the fans to Miss Universe and to Rabia's mental state. So I hope that by being more open, that there will be more concrete changes, that our attitudes would have, some sort of an overhaul as well. And most especially, I am really hoping for happiness on Rabia's part. I mean, if there is a way for her to erase all of the bad memories and all of the bad situations that she got herself into, preparing herself for Miss Universe, I hope that it would be replaced with opportunities that are greater than what she has imagined. So guys, I will be leaving you for now, but thank you so much for spending this episode with me, and stay safe. Goodbye.